Okay, I've got my pot. Now I'm going to go ahead and put on my underglaze. You can use underglaze, you can use red slip, or you can use the natural ongo. There are different colored underglazes, but on all of them they should be pretty liquidy, brushable, but stir them up some first. But if you just put one coat on, that's going to be too thin. So if you look on the containers, it probably says 3 coats. So you may have to put one on, let it dry, put another one on, let it dry, and decide how much of your pot is going to be covered. The bulk of the wall to fit the assignment, most of it needs to be covered. But if you don't want to include the bottom edge there, you don't have to. I'm going to have to clean that up because I got a little bit of places where I didn't want it. But you're going to put 3 coats on it. They're really, you're going to have uneven, unhappy results if you only do one. Just like most of the glazes, if you read the container, it's going to tell you what you're going to need to do for the best results. If it's on too thick, or if your clay is really wet, both of those things will give you some difficulties. The underglaze is relatively forgiving, but it can peel if you don't apply it properly and at the right stages. But otherwise, it's pretty forgiving. When you're going to start doing your sgraffito, you want to make sure that you definitely wait till it stops being shiny, or you're just going to end up with a really messy project. Okay, so I won't make you watch me put 3 coats on. That's not very exciting. Pretty much is up there with watching paint dry. Okay, so I've got my 3 coats of underglaze. You can see I still got a couple little wet spots. We'll see what kind of problems that will cause me, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. So you need to probably be careful, but you want it still to be on the leather hard stage, but nothing should come off on your fingers when you touch that. Now I did cheat a little bit. I used a hairdryer, so that sped things along a little bit. You can start just freehanding. A lot of your sgraffito kind of depends on your comfort level in drawing. So you can freehand on there right away if you want to, or if you want to, you can transfer your design. And I took a piece of tracing paper and I made it the size that the pot is, and then I drew my design on there. Now you could also trace around it if you wanted to. So if you had a drawing in your sketchbook that was exactly what you wanted, you could use that. And I'm just going to go over the marker lines. I didn't put on every mark that I'm going to make, just kind of where my dividers are. So how I'm dividing up that space. We'll see how this works. But I'm actually going to alternate these sides. And again, these are just my dividers. I'm going to make marks inside there. But I can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it very well on the video, but I can see where there's little grooves where I put that. So if this side is like that, this side I want the opposite in this particular case. That doesn't mean you have to. That just means that's what I want to do, because I want those to kind of mirror each other. So I'm kind of paying attention to how they relate. So I flip this one over. I'm going to have to be careful because this paper is pretty fragile. Again, I'm just kind of impressing it into my clay a little bit. Don't try and draw out every mark you're going to make, but put on how you're dividing it. So there's that. So then I can keep going with that if I want to. So if that one was that side, maybe I want this side this way. And I'm going to repeat that again. You can make all 4 sides different if you want to. That's your call. Got lots of options on this, which makes it more of a challenge because you're making this individualized. I think I may have missed a line there. Okay, and then my last side, I'm reversing again And I have no idea how much this is going to show up on the video. Perhaps hardly at all, but you kind of get the idea just watching that. So once I've got that traced on everywhere, then I've got to go back and actually start doing the sgraffito. So nothing I've done so far is actually the sgraffito. That's just getting it all marked on there so I know where I want to put things. Then hopefully you remembered what the tool is that you want to use for sgraffito. You did practice, and whichever one you liked best, of course I just grabbed 3 of the same one, that's the one you should use. Or if there were a couple that you really liked, fantastic. Now you've got to decide what exactly are you removing. Any of these little bits, those go in the trash. Don't reclaim anything with the underglaze on it. So again, those marks that I made, those marks are just my guideline. The original marks, those are my guidelines to know where I want to carve. I didn't make every mark, so sometimes I need to adapt a little bit. And I don't want to cut all the way through my pot. I've got to think, how's my design going to wrap around the edge? Am I going to play with my line thickness a little bit?